Hey, my name's Sean from Edgewood Hobbies. Welcome to my channel. If you end up liking this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing because it'll really help me out. If you don't like it, please tell me why, so I can fix it. Today I'm going to be painting some orcs, 4 orcs that I've thrown together in the last couple weeks, including this big knob that I put together on my channel a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check it out. But yeah, I'm going to be using, for the most part, I'm going to be using the Master Series paints by Reaper. I really like those. I am going to be using the Army Painter washes because they're really great and they're cheaper than GW. I don't love Army Painter paints, but I do have a few colors here that I'm going to be using. If you have trouble with Army Painter like I do, like everyone does, they're just too thick. I'm going to put a video in the description by Geek Gaming Scenics. Luke over there has a great video about making Army Painter more usable. So I'll put that down in the description as well. I don't use a wet palette at the moment because I just don't care for it really. But if you swear by it and love it, let me know, and maybe I'll try again in the future. So for right now, I'm just going to start by laying down a base coat of all the colors on all the orcs. I'm going to be doing green for the skin, obviously, and then I'll be doing blade steel for the metal, and then the cloths will be either black or brown for the boots, gray or brown for the pants, and then I have a few different brown tones that I'll use for different pieces of cloth. Their shirts will be, I don't know, yellow, blue, red maybe, we'll see. I also have this guy who hijacked a shoulder pad off of a Chaos Marine, so that'll be red and gold and then really worn down and weathered. I also might try going for a rust effect on one of my axes. I haven't done that yet, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm starting with Green Skin by Army Painter, and that's going to be used for the skin on all the orcs. I'm gonna thin that down a little bit with a little homemade thinner. I'm using a number 1 size brush to start. I'm gonna be using this brush for like 90% of my painting today. I also have a size 0 that I might use. I have a size 2, but it just seems too big and clunky, so. All right, here we go. All right, so now I think I'm done with the base coat. It took me almost 2 hours, hour 45 to do all the base coating on everything. Now I'm gonna try and whip up a texture paint. I'm gonna try and mimic Typhus Corrosion. So I'm gonna use some gray, some black, and some brown. And I'm going to use a cruddy brush for this because I don't want to get baking soda stuck in the bristles of one of my nice brushes. So yeah, gray, brown, and black. And then some baking soda, which I have right here. For this small amount, I need just like, not much. So for this, I'm doing this one. So you base it in metallic. And then you just brush the texture paint all over the metal. I'm just doing this one axe because I'm trying it out. I'm not going to go crazy on everything. I'm just going to do this one axe. Now you just let it dry. The next thing we'll do once that's dry is dry brush it heavily with orange. You can use Rizza Rust, or I'm just gonna use this Fire Lizard by Army Painter. It's probably not the right color, but I don't care. So I'm gonna let that dry. Now for washes, I'm gonna use green Army Painter Green Tone for all the flesh. I'm gonna use Flesh Wash just on the orc with the open mouth. I'm gonna use it on his tongue and inside his mouth. Like I said, for all the metals, except for where I'm doing the rust, I'm gonna use the Dark Tone, which is like Nuln Oil by GW. And then everywhere else, all the clothes, all the bones, everything else, I'm going to be using Strong Tone, which is the equivalent of Agrax Earthshade by GW, or Citadel. So, I am going to get started with that. Now, the Army Painter washes are pretty thick. Some people don't even consider them washes, really. So I'm going to add a little of this homemade flow improver, which is just water with a couple drops of glycerin. Now you can use dish soap for your own flow improver, or if you're making homemade washes. A lot of people use dish soap. I don't like it because when you shake it, it gets bubbles in it. Using pure glycerin does not give you any bubbles. So I like using that, but you can use whatever you want. So yeah, I'm just applying green tone all over the flesh. Getting the recesses, darkening it up. I'm going on pretty heavy. And yeah, that's it. It's easy enough. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other colors and be back in a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this axe, the rust effect. So I need a really tiny dry brush, some of this orange paint, and for anyone who doesn't know how to dry brush, you just get your brush, you dip it in the paint, and then you rub it on paper towel until no more paint's coming off. And then you just brush over the surface you want to dry brush, and the paint will come off on the raised edges, but it won't get in the recesses. Maybe I don't want to get rid of all the paint this time around. looks not as bright as I wanted it. There we go, get it a little heavier. All right, now I'm gonna hit the biggest edges with blade steel, the highest edges. With a softer dry brush. For anyone who doesn't know makeup brushes, buy yourself a cheap pack of makeup brushes. They're great dry brushes. Now I'm going to use some polished silver. Polished silver with my zero brush. With my size 0, take some polished silver and just get the very front edge. This is like marks where the rust has been worn off from being used. And then I'm gonna go up the edge a little bit and just kind of make some streaks. It's way too thick. Okay. Make some really fine streaks. Really fine streaks. Okay, it's not as good as some I've seen. I need to work on the rust color. Straight orange doesn't work apparently. But I'm happy with it, it's fine. For a tabletop ready mini, I'm good with it. All right, it's day 2, bright and early, got my coffee. So with base coating and shading, I think I had like 2 hours into it. So highlighting is where I struggle the most. Mostly, I think it's going to consist of dry brushing. I'm going to try to do some layering on the skin at least. And we'll see how it goes. All right, and I think that's as good as the highlighting's gonna get. Now, I need to do their eyes, which I'm super nervous about. I'm gonna use a 3-0 brush for this. No idea how this is gonna go. Mix it with the bear brush. This is awful. My hands are so shaky. It's so hard to do the eyes on these guys and make it look good. So when I get paint in a spot I don't want it, I just rinse the brush and then go back over it with a damp brush, and that usually pulls the paint off. Good enough. Bump the camera. Sorry for getting out of frame so much through this whole process. I'm still trying to figure out how to actually do this whole video thing. Obviously, I'm just doing red dots for the orc eyes. I'm keeping it super simple. Like I said before, I'm just going for like a tabletop standard. I'm not going crazy with it, so. Really basic paint jobs here. All right, so I think all I have left to do is the basing. Now for the basing, I'm gonna use this pewter gray. And then I'm gonna wash it, I'm gonna dry brush it with the, oh, it's back here. I'm gonna dry brush it with this desert sand. You can use any like bone or like Zandri dust or Ushtabi bone or any kind of bone color. So I'm gonna do pewter gray, heavy dry brush with desert sand, and then I'm gonna go over it with the strong tone, like Agrax Earthshade, and then that's it. I'm gonna use a pretty gross brush for this because I don't want to mess up a good brush. I'm just getting right in there. So I like to do neutral basing so that they'll look good on in any environment. So for sci-fi, I like to go with like a gray, so that it kind of looks like rubble type thing. And then for fantasy, I go with like a chocolate brown. And then I do the same dry brush and the same wash. It's super basic. Someday, I'm sure I'll start doing more advanced basing, but for now, this is just what I like. If you get a little bit on the shoes, it's not the biggest deal, because it'll just look like they're in their environment. And I am gonna put a little bit of the wash up on the shoes intentionally, to kind of blend the feet with the environment. All right, so now I'm gonna dry brush the bases. I also added a little blue and silver to the end of the lens there. I'm not gonna go for the whole like reflective lens look. I'm not really there yet, but yeah, I think it looks good. So yeah, now I'm gonna dry brush the dust color onto the bases. I'm gonna use a little makeup brush. This is a point brush. I don't know what the different makeup brushes are for, but this is the smallest one I've got, so. Again, if you get a little of the dry brush on the boots, it's fine, because it'll just blend them in with the bases. Sorry for going off screen. I gotta get a hang of this. It's time for the strong tone, which is comparable to Agrax Earthshade. Gonna add a little flow improver to it. Really wanted to get in the cracks, so I'm gonna add a little more flow improver to it. Okay. All right, it's all done. Now I'm going to wait for the washes to dry, and then I'm going to use this to paint the base rims black. And then I'll be back with the finished product. That's it. I think start to finish, The paint job took like 3 hours for all 4 models, which isn't bad. I'd probably do a lot better if I slowed down a bit, but what can I say? I'm impatient. I really like how the axe turned out with those wires. I think the axe looks better, but the claw maybe fits better because of his hair and the knife on the back. The axe doesn't fit as well, but I'm really happy with how they all turned out. I especially like the orc who stole a chaos shoulder pad. I think that looks really good. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know I'm not a stellar painter, but it's fun. And I definitely, be happy to play with these guys on the table. Yeah, if you didn't like the video, let me know, so I can try to make it better for next time. So thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. I'm going to try to do 1 video a week. Next week, I'm going to do a big conversion, I think. Maybe like 10 units. Try to like kit bash a whole squad of something. We'll see how that goes. If you'd like to know what tools and gear I use, you can find a detailed list on my website, which is edgewoodhobbies.com. I'd love for you to check me out on Facebook and Instagram at Edgewood Hobbies. And if you'd like to support me, you can buy me a coffee by clicking the link in the description. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.